the PT-91 Twardy. What a beautiful tank, and quite a few capabilities that a lot of people get confused with the old T-72. I really am fascinated about this main battle tank and looking forward to talking about it with you today. But before we talk about this armoured beast, we're going to talk about another form of armour, your online armour. And this video is sponsored today by Surfshark VPN. Surfshark VPN is a virtual private network which keeps you safe and private by covering up just about everything you do online. Just like the smoke screen of a main battle tank, this is giving the ability to travel to the online battle space in just one click with total protection and obscurity from those pesky enemies trying to hunt you down. Some of the features that Surfshark provides is connection to popular websites that you may not normally get access to in your host nation, and easily accessing and unblocking streaming platforms and getting past geo-blocks and government restrictions on some sites. You can change your virtual location because you know what the online world is like, and just like any form of active protection system on a tank, you are given full protection against other things willing to take on your computer world. For example, Surfshark provides Surfshark Alert, which is monitoring your personal data and giving real-time breach alerts. There's also Surfshark Antivirus, giving you device-free systems, and Surfshark Search, which is hiding you away from search engines and getting you truly organic results and avoiding those horrible personalized ads. Personally, I actually use Surfshark, and it's a fantastic VPN service with over 3,200 servers in 95 different countries, giving uninterrupted surfing online capabilities and one subscription with unlimited devices, and of course 24-hour support, which I have used before, and they are fantastic and super friendly to work with. If you're interested in getting a Surfshark VPN, have I got a deal for you? Yes, we are entering a new promo code today that you can get into Surfshark capabilities. All you need to do is go to the description box below and click on the link and enter the promo code Matsimus. There is going to be a total 83% off and 3 months free when you check out Surfshark VPN with that link to protect yourself online. I would strongly encourage you to check out that description box, go click on the link, and enjoy protection for your devices. So let's talk about this beautiful main battle tank, the PT-91 Twardy. Now, the Twardy is Poland's premier main battle tank. In Polish it means hard, tough, or resilient. The tank is a source of pride for Poland's national defense industry and military, and they began producing the PT-91 in the early 1990s, and they produced a very large quantity of them in 1995. Some of the most prominent working capabilities of the tank are as follows. It has a ground clearance of 39 centimeters and a fuel capacity of 1,000 liters, which gave the tank an operational range of about 650 to 700 kilometers with rear additional fuel tanks. This is an impressive distance for a main battle tank of its time, especially when it would have to potentially be fighting in the open prairies and lands of Eastern Europe. It has a top speed of 60 km an hour on flat ground and 40 km an hour cross country, which is very impressive for a tank of this size and kind, but fairly standard of the T-72 platform. Field tests demonstrated that it could climb 60% gradients, climb a 0.85 meter vertical step, stay steady on a 50% side slope, gap a 2.8 meter wide trench, wade through 1.4 meters of water without preparation, and wade through 5 meters of water with full preparation and snorkel added. The firing rate of the tank is actually pretty good, of around 8 to 10 rounds per minute, and the tank has a very impressive for its time, and to today's time as well, upgraded thermal sight from the standard T-72 for use with a more modernized laser rangefinder. It also includes the night vision capabilities, and when the tank is lit by enemy lasers from anti-tank missiles, its super sensitive sensors can detect it. Let's talk a little bit about the history of this tank. Beginning in 1991, Leopard factory, which had been producing T-72s under Soviet license, began modernizing programs for T-72. The P-91 Twardy was updated as the main combat tank. Leopard improved the protection of the engine and fire control systems for the vehicle, and in 1993 the Polish Defense Ministry purchased 20 of these tanks for field tests and the Armed Forces evaluations of Poland. In the late 1980s, the Polish army upgraded all of its outdated T-55 tanks to the T-55AM Merida standard. The successful conversion convinced the general staff that the Soviet-designed tanks made in Poland and used by the Polish armed forces could be similarly modernized. Following the political changes and the breakup of the Soviet Union in 1989, Polish-Soviet negotiations on the procurement of modern tanks came into a halt. The development of a new Polish tank gained momentum. The original design by the Bureau was codenamed Wilk, Polish for wolf, which I think is a fantastic name, by the way. I love that. Would be such a cool name for a tank. But the project was actually cancelled. Instead, attention was drawn to a new project called Twardy. The P-91 Twardy tank production and design really came from indigenous design of the ERAWA explosive armor reactive blocks that strengthened Twardy's defenses. 394 ERAWA blocks cover the front of the hull and the turret. These bricks are nearly precisely aligned with each other, minimizing gaps from any other external projectiles or high explosive projectiles that could penetrate armor. The ERAWA armor was developed by the Polish Military Technical Institute to protect the tank from lethal anti-tank grenades and missiles. This defense is made up of the 394 explosive tiles that detonate directly when hit. The tiles cover 9 square meters of the tank, which is a substantial amount of surface area for a main battle tank. The turret has 108 tiles and the hull has 118, and each side anti-heat screens have 84. It has been improved by reducing the gaps between the bricks and is now outperforming explosive reactive armor in terms of ERA from some of the even more modern main battle tanks that are out there today. This is due to just the quantity of surface area that this tank has. As I said before, the armor does take up that 9 square meter of foot space, so in the grand scheme of things, there's not a lot of room to really squeeze a high explosive projectile in there. When it comes to saber rounds or fin projectiles, there's really not much to stop. The PT-91 is also armed with the beautiful 125mm auto-loading main gun. That's right, the gun is holding 42 rounds of ammunition and is all auto-loaded, which is very similar to, of course, other Russian main battle tanks. It does have a new stabilization and fire control system which is installed from the Polish military and regarded as, for its time, quite accurate. Other systems and sights have been improved as well, including a thermal integrated crew command system, which allows the commander to basically use his commander's independent thermal viewer. And the vehicle is actually pretty nippy. As I mentioned before, in terms of its speed, it's pretty fast, and it's powered by an 850 horsepower PZL Wola S12U diesel engine manufactured in Poland. This engine could reach a top speed of 37 miles per hour and go 403 miles. The performance of the engine was very well actually received from most drivers from the Polish military, and I've actually spoke to a few Polish people who have actually operated this vehicle, and they really do like it. The Poles renovated the power plant in the early 2000s though, and this allowed them to turbocharge it to produce 1,000 horsepower and go at a top highway speed of 47 miles an hour, which personally, if I'm cruising on the highway at 47 miles an hour in a vehicle of this size, yeah, that's going to be a lot of strain on the body. I've driven the Warrior at pretty fast speeds, and it's not fun with a main battle tank. That's impressive. The fire control system was also upgraded by replacing the previous Soviet two-plane stabilizer 22AM with a new stabilizer manufactured in Slovakia. It has an electronic information block that indicates the technical state of the tank, almost like a health system, which is really nice to have because when you digitize a tank like that, you're taking a lot of the maintenance requests and requirements from frontline support to take the guesswork out. Electronic systems help, but they can also be a hindrance too, and I can say firsthand, I do like having integrated digital controls that can tell me what's wrong with the vehicle before it pulls in to be repaired, but it also brings up a lot of false flags and a lot of errors that really should never have been there. It also alerts the commander if the affected site fire actually becomes ineffective owing to the increased cross-country speeds or other circumstances. So, in essence, if you're driving too fast or you're in an environment where the gun cannot track efficiently or stably, it will actually tell you, by the way, you need to slow down or stop bumping across trains so much or I can't track this target as it lasers them. Pretty interesting stuff. The PT-91 is equipped with a thermosmoke system that produces smoke screens from the gasoline onto the exhausts. It does also have 24 grenade launchers, a little bit more than you would see on most main battle tanks of today. This is to increase the amount of smoke screen that's provided to this tank, because at the end of the day, going against Russian military vehicles, the Polish are going to be outnumbered with this vehicle, and they need to obscure themselves as they pull and retreat to whatever forces that are going to support them in the background. They may fire non-lethal smoke, but they can also actually fire anti-personnel frag or even tear gas grenades from these pods. So if you've got infantry crawling all over you from trenches, you can actually pop frag grenades out of these tubes, which is pretty interesting. Something that you would never see in a NATO configuration other than sort of white phosphorus that comes from a standardized smoke round anyway. The emitted smoke decoys are used to conceal the movement and enhance velocity, which aids in survivability. And that's the velocity of the tank getting the hell out of there. The Polish Army's PT-91s were rebuilt with almost extensively domestic components, including the new engine, fire control system, and all communication system elements. Many of these parts were utilized to upgrade the existing T-72 fleet in countries including the Czech Republic with the T-72 M4CZ, Georgia with the T-72 SIM-1, and in India the T-72 Ajaya Mark II.
The PT-91 was made in 9 variants, as follows: PT-91A, PT-91 Hardy, PT-91M Pedaka, PT-91EX, the PT-91P, the PT-72U, the PT-16, the PT-17, the PT-91M2, and the PT-91A. Interestingly, the PT-91A is a more advanced version of the PT-91 that is powered by that more powerful 1000 shaft horsepower engine. The version is actually demonstrated at military expos and is used quite often to be somewhat of the forefront of the armoured force of Poland. The PT-91 Hardy is outfitted with the Sagem Savant 15 fire control system. The most major benefit was the newly attached gun stabilization system, which gave the tank much more increased accuracy while in motion. It was eventually used as the basis for the development of the PT-91M. This variant has actually beaten the T-90, T-84 and K-1 tanks in Malaysian stress tests, as well as competition for the new Malaysian MBT. There was only one prototype of the PT-91 Hardy built. The PT-91M Pedenka is basically an export variation to Malaysia. It still has the 125mm gun that's been modified with the S1000 engine and communication systems with a French fire control system to link them together. It also has a hydromatic gearbox. The Sagem panoramic sight was also installed, and a CBRN warning and protection system was placed on there. An OBRA 3 laser warning system and SAGAM laser gyro inertial navigation system was installed to increase turret stabilization, and the 81mm smoke grenade launchers and communication systems that were upgraded were included in this model. Fairly sophisticated for an export tank, so to speak. The 91EX is another export model that was available to most countries. The first prototype, known as the SP1, was the PT-91E. It's the exact same vehicle that was shown on the military parade in Kuala Lumpur in 2005. The PT-91X, known as the second prototype, is the SP2, and both vehicles were extensively tested in Malaysia. The PT-91P is a more advanced version of the PT-91X, which was displayed at the 2009 SITDEF Peru Military Expo, and is equipped with a more advanced communication system and a drawer fire control system with improved thermal vision. The variant has the most latest PCO drawer TG fire control system, which features thermal sight and modern communication systems. The TELDAT Battle Magnification System, or RAD, I'm going to say that again, that's just a bit of a tongue twister. The TELDAT Battlefield Management System, RADMOR, or the RRC 9310 radio and WB Electronics Phonet IP communication system really improved the communication package internally and externally for this vehicle. The PT-72U. This was an offer for more of the Polish army to modify the T-72 and P-91 tanks. As part of the modification, a remote-controlled cannon with an optical system, add-on armor, and omnidirectional surveillance system was installed, and more engineering general equipment fitted to the vehicle. A remote-controlled weapons system was given the 12.7mm machine gun installed on the crew commander hatch, featuring a 360-degree firing and rotation, gun elevation ranging from -5 degrees to -55 degrees. The observation system consisted of 8 day-night cameras with viewing angle of 55 degrees and a FLIR rotational passive camera with 26 times optical zoom, a very impressive zoom optical range for a tank of this kind. The armor package included the chassis and turret bar armor as well, preventing it from getting RPGs pushed against it, and the underside of the chassis was finished with reactive add-on armor. The PT-72U also comes with a slew of new modern and external communication capabilities, including internet connectivity. The PT-16 was another step forward which was accomplished in 2016. The upgrades included primarily improved armor, armament, and maneuverability. For the hull, armor, and cast turret, Germany created an add-on composite armor equivalent of up to 1000mm of rolled homogeneous armor. The 125mm smoothbore cannon had been replaced by a NATO-compatible 120mm smoothbore cannon with a carousel-type autoloader. This autoloader operates independently of the T-72 autoloader in the crew compartment, and the remote operation of the manned 12.7mm machine gun was also upgraded and well required. Other improvements included rubber skirts to cover the lower hull and tracks, a new fire control system, and new tracks based on the German Leopard 2s that could be outfitted with deep wading kits to allow it to cross water barriers of up to 13 feet or 4 meters deep. The PT-17. Well, the primary goals of the PT-17 were to give an improved battlefield mobility and survivability coverage, firepower, maneuverability, mission duration, and crew comfort. It was basically an overhaul. The demonstrator was built in partnership with the Ukrainian companies that supplied the tank turret. The PT-17's power range included an S1000R ESM 350M engine and enhanced suspension. They also installed Dale rubber tracks that were also used to improve the reliability of the vehicle and its running gear. The chassis equipment included an APU, a new steering system with a shuttlecock, air conditioning, and a day and night reversing camera PCO KDM-1. The tank turret was designed in Ukraine. The smooth 120mm Ukrainian KBM-2 cannon has a L50 barrel length and 22mm ammo charge unit in the turret slot. There are 50 shells accessible in total, and the vehicle's weaponry is supplemented by a 7.62mm caliber machine gun and remotely mounted with a ZSMU-1276 armament module created by Zakati, Mackenzie, or Tauno SA. The turret was furnished with a PCO SA BMS stabilized sight and sight optics, as well as the GOC-1 Nike and God-1 Iris. The company also suggests that using Safran's Vigi-15 panoramic day observation device is an alternative. The PT-91 M2 was a modernization goal, and they're the same as the PT-17, but the PT-91 M2's range varies dramatically. The S12U engine produces 850 horsepower and features an enhanced mechanical transmission. On the tracks, Obram and Bumar rubber overlays were used. As with the PT-17, reinforced suspension, shock absorbers, torsion shafts, and things like that were used. The chassis included an enhanced rotary car charger or an auxiliary power generator unit as well, and a night vision driver PNK-72 Radomka, and a nighttime reversing camera, which was the PCO KDN. The ERAWA 3 reactive armor and rod armor provided hull protection at the back of the chassis as well now. The PT-91 M2 is outfitted with an SOD observation system and the universal PCO SSP-1 OBRA 3 vehicle-mounted propelled system, both from the PCO SA, and 2 modules each containing 12 smoke module grenades and the 902 alphas. Additional turret protection was provided by ERAWA reactive armor modules that could be removed and replaced very easily. In summary, the T-72 had a lot of core problems, and this tank addressed it. The PT-91 Twardy is an outstanding upgrade for the previous T-72 models. The vehicle was truly a modernization of an incorporated feature that had things like a more powerful engine, constructed in Poland, and the T-72's engine is really from a quite very old tank. The T-3485 design was very similar to that of the T-72's basic engine principle, although I'm guessing it's been improved to handle the heavier armor. The T-72, however, had less mobility than previous versions such as the T-54 and 55 and the T-62 due to its relatively old engine. Because the T-72 was next evolutionary step up for previous designs, this could not be permitted. Because the Poles were aware of this issue, they replaced the old engine with locally manufactured ones, as well as locally constructed and updated transmissions to go with the new engine. They also included the new dual stabilized fire control system, which allowed for more precise firing of the tank's main gun, the 125mm 2A46. This improvement increased the tank's lethality while also boosting chances of hitting a target at longer range. It had an improved automatic loading system, which increased the efficiency of the main gun and the tank's ability to sustain a longer engagement. So my final verdict on this tank, the Poles are extremely proud of this tank, and rightly so. Despite the fact that there aren't many of them, apart from that, the Poles have a very decent main battle tank for their army. However, I will end on this note. The PT-91 Twardy is largely in service in Poland since the Polish military felt that the extra upgrades and enhancements to the base T-72 design, it would be more effective, because it has been accepted that means the tank is more capable. Otherwise, why would they put it into service? Truly, the Polish do love the T-72 platform, they just wanted to make it their own, and I think with the Twardy, they definitely hit the nail on the head. So I'd love to hear your opinion on this main battle tank, folks. Please leave me a comment in the comment section below. If there's any information that I got wrong in this, please feel free to correct me. Some of you may notice that this is actually a regurgitated video, it's a new video. That's because I found a number of errors, actually, when I produced the first PT-91 video, and I wanted to correct that. So feel free to give me any pointers or tips that you found that I may have got wrong on this. If you're a commander, driver, gunner of these beautiful tanks from Poland, please let me know. I'd love to hear your input on it and how you felt they were rolled into service and if you enjoy them. And if you did enjoy today's video, I would really ask that you leave me a comment and click that little thumb like button. It really, really helps. Thank you so much for everyone who's been supporting my channel, also recently on my Patreon and my PayPal. If you want to support me financially, you can go check out the links in the description box below. And also you can go check out my
my clothing brand sponsorship that's also there. I have an online store that I work with there for their store, and it's a fantastic clothing line. They got all sort of artillery-based stuff on there, so you go check them out. I hope you have a wonderful day, folks. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.